Welcome, everyone. So today we're tackling something pretty huge. We are taking a hard look at massive IT overhauls. You know the ones, those gigantic enterprise resource planning or ERP implementations that completely take over an organization. Now, far too often, companies treat these as purely technical challenges. They see them as just massive software updates, right? But in this explainer, we're going to dive into why these are actually incredibly complex people projects. Because let's be real, if you don't bring your people along for the ride, the absolute best software in the world isn't going to save you.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, why tech projects fail. Then number 2, the roots of employee resistance. Number 3, the ADKAR change management model. 4, customized training and continuous support. And finally, number 5, the role of leadership and budgeting.
Section 1. Why tech projects fail. Let's look at the true cost of getting this wrong.
Well, let's kick things off with a rather shocking statistic. According to research from Gartner, over 75% of ERP projects fail. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. 3/4 of these massive, incredibly expensive investments simply do not meet their objectives. And honestly, here's the kicker. It's largely due to human resistance, not technical glitches. When your employees are confused, left in the dark, or just handed a brand new system with absolutely zero context, it creates this perfect storm of fear and apathy. The software itself might be literally flawless, but if the humans sitting at the desks refuse to click the buttons, the whole project goes under. And if you're wondering what that actually looks like in dollars and cents, consider the cautionary tale of National Grid. A major oversight in change management cost them more than $585 million. Can you even imagine having to explain that kind of loss to your board? And it took them over 2 years just to repair the damage. So trying to absorb a massive tech transition without properly preparing your human workforce, it isn't just a little inefficient, it is a massive, enterprise-threatening financial risk.
I think Paul Lemon, a team lead for financial applications, really hit the nail on the head here with this quote. He says, "Anyone can buy a boat, but not everyone can sail a boat." And that brilliantly illustrates our core thesis today. Acquiring shiny new technology means absolutely nothing if your team isn't prepared to navigate it. You can go out and buy the most advanced, state-of-the-art boat on the market, but without a trained crew, you aren't going anywhere.
Moving right along to Section 2, the roots of employee resistance. Let's unpack exactly why people push back.
You know, it's super easy for management to just wave off employee pushback as people just being stubborn. But actually, resistance generally falls into 3 distinct and very logical buckets that leaders absolutely need to understand and empathize with. First up, there's technical resistance. This usually comes from your power users, the folks who absolutely love their current complex spreadsheets and just aren't convinced the new way is actually any better. Then there's capability resistance. This is a very real, very human anxiety about competence. It's like a veteran employee sitting there silently worrying, am I even going to be able to learn this new system? And finally, there is role-based resistance.
And that brings us to role-based resistance, which is absolutely critical to understand. The key point here is that addressing this requires genuine empathy from leadership. Think about an analyst whose entire job for the last 5 years has been managing exceptions. They might look at a new automated workflow and see it as a direct threat to their livelihood. You simply cannot ignore that fear of obsolescence. You've got to sit down and have honest one-on-one conversations about how their roles are going to positively evolve once all that routine work gets automated.
Section 3. The ADKAR change management model. Let's look at how we structure the human side of all this change. So, how do we actually fix this? Well, we can take this massive, fuzzy cultural problem and break it down into a highly manageable, step-by-step business process using the ProSci ADKAR model. ADKAR stands for awareness of why the change is needed, desire to participate, knowledge on how to actually change, ability to implement the new skills, and reinforcement to sustain it all. Here's the trap a lot of companies fall into. If you jump straight to knowledge, which is essentially just training, without taking the time to build awareness and desire first, you are completely setting your team up to fail.
Now, timing is everything. Notice how this timeline builds out. Change management does not just happen the week before the software goes live. 6 to 8 months out, you should be building that awareness. You don't just announce a go-live date and immediately drag people into training rooms. Then, about 2 to 4 weeks out, you do your phased training. Right after launch, you enter 2 to 4 weeks of what's called hypercare. That means intensive, hands-on, right there at the desk coaching. And finally, you need a solid 6 to 12 months of reinforcement. The change doesn't end on launch day, folks. That is literally just the beginning.
Section 4. Customized training and continuous support.
Let's be honest. We've all probably sat through a generic, one-size-fits-all software demo, right? And it's a huge mistake that organizations keep making. Imagine forcing a purchasing clerk to sit through the exact same 4-hour high-level system overview as the director of procurement. You're going to put them right to sleep. Modern training simply must be role-based. It needs to zero in entirely on an employee's actual day-to-day workflow, covering only the specific screens and processes they are actually going to use.
So practically speaking, how do you pull off role-based training? It comes down to a few key steps. First, you have to start with your super users and process owners to really refine the training material. Second, and this is absolutely vital, provide hands-on practice using realistic scenarios with mass production data. That means using real, familiar company data that's been safely anonymized. Just listening to a lecture doesn't build confidence. Actually doing the work in a safe sandbox environment does. That is exactly how you overcome that capability resistance we talked about earlier. And finally, document your job aids and quick start guides during the training itself. That way employees have instant, reliable reinforcement materials ready to go on day one.
And finally, Section 5, the role of leadership and budgeting. Let's talk about the commitments needed from the top. I want to share a really powerful insight from Merrick's Paulus. He notes, we've seen enterprise implementations with identical technical specifications produce vastly different outcomes based entirely on how well the organization prepared its people. This is such a crucial reminder for project sponsors and executives. Your absolute most important deliverable is team readiness. It is not just handing over a working software instance. And that kind of readiness, it requires active executive sponsorship. And I mean active as a daily behavior, not just a fancy title sitting on a steering committee slide somewhere. Executives need to allocate visible time. Leadership is a verb. So show up to the training sessions. Let the team see that this is a priority. Leaders also need to actively remove systemic obstacles, like stepping in to unblock IT constraints. And they have to communicate the concrete benefits clearly. Generic corporate cheerleading just doesn't work. You have to tell the team exactly how this new system just shortened their order processing cycle by 2 whole days.
Let's ground this whole people management concept into some hard numbers. Industry guidance across the board is incredibly consistent on this. You must dedicate 10 to 15% of your total project budget strictly to change management and training. So if you're looking at a $2 million implementation, $200,000 to $300,000 of that needs to be completely ring-fenced for change leadership, training development, and that post-launch hypercare support.
The bottom line here, trying to sweep these change management costs under the rug of general IT budgets is a guaranteed path to project failure. Organizations that try to cut corners and underfund this stuff up front absolutely always end up paying for it later. And trust me, they pay reactively, and it is far, far more expensive when adoption completely stalls out and the actual day-to-day business grinds to a halt.
So I'm going to leave you with one final provocative question to chew on. When it comes to your next big transition, are you investing in your people or just your software? Because if you are only paying attention to the code, your digital transformation is already in serious trouble. Invest in the human element, truly empower your team, and they will safely sail that shiny new boat for you. Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and we'll see you next time.